WRLD Nation and the waviest to ever do it. We are live in Frisco, Texas for Big 12 Media Days Day 2. And it's been a jam-packed experience. I mean, I could look to my left and see Mike Gundy and his mullet. I can look even further to my left and see an absolute dog in Spencer Fano, who hopefully we get a chance to talk to soon. We got Jalen Daniels sitting over there. It's been a great day. We get bombed by mascots galore. I got a chance to see West Virginia's mascot live, mascot in person, get a chance to talk to him and his story. We've done a lot of interviews today, and we're only just getting started. Hopefully, over the course of this show, and you watching, we're going to get a chance to talk to many more players, give some more insights for today's. And I got some Oklahoma State fans that will be very happy to know that I got a chance to talk to Mr. Josh Ford, freshman tight end last year, coming into his sophomore season, ready to ball out, and also Cam Smith. They're going to be mentioned in the show, too. Yeah. Hey, Miss Brandy. I think we about to get Josh Hoover, quarterback from TCU, coming to join the show very soon. All right, this is the world of CFB. This is a live show, so, you know, expect interruptions, expect all the unexpected for today. But let's start the show off first with a bang and talk straight ball. One of the okay, say less. I'm ready for him. Appreciate you, King. Okay. All right, shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Get comfortable, get comfortable. Let's talk about Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma State entered Big 12 Media Days built from Bedlam. Absolutely. In Stillwater, there's a silence before the storm sounds, like a steel door locking shut. It's not boastful, people. It's not flashy, but it is all absolutely real, 100%. And in 2025, it's coming from a trio of Oklahoma State defenders who have turned raw edges into forged iron for you. Cam Smith might not talk too much, but his resume speaks volumes all by himself. 29 career starts underneath his belt, a pick-six mentality, and the kind of press coverage that ruins Saturday mornings and afternoons for wide receivers that try to come and play Oklahoma State. Then you got Iman Oates, who is a full character in himself, a great personality, and a Tulsa-grown trench brawler who's coming in with JUCO roots and who's played at every single level and got the job done officially, starting nearly every game on OSU's line last season. And then there's Josh Ford, Mr. Josh Ford, freshman, hometown kid, 6'6" mismatch match nightmare. This is you soon, my dog. And then he's going to be stepping into that next step in 2000. I said stepping into that next step. You know what I meant. He's going to be taking that next leap in 2025, year of our Lord. I saw Josh Ford in person. He is every bit of 6'6". He looks like a grown man. He moves and acts like a grown man. And he has a smile that lights up the room. Oklahoma State might not be getting the fanfare that they would hope, especially after a season of a lot of mishaps and a lot of shakeups for Oklahoma State. But you can't not talk about them. They have too many talking points for you to mention. Let's talk about first the Stillwater stretch and Josh Ford's rise from the red dirt. I mean, in 2024, you couldn't script it even cleaner. Born and raised in Stillwater, Oklahoma, star at Stillwater High School, a Ford from the football family tree. This man is the son of a Baylor Bear, a nephew of a Horned Frog, a cousin of champions. Josh Ford, he didn't need to be recruited heavily across the nation in order to be a dog and have that in his DNA. He got that in his DNA, and last season as a true freshman, he made his debut under the Friday Night Lights, Saturday Night Lights against Arkansas and Tulsa. 6'6" frame was absolutely bodying people. His receptions, they only grew throughout the season. as Tulsa, where he ripped off his first collegiate touchdown down the seam, an 18-yard seam route, just ripped to perfection for 33 yards. And you might look at the stat line and be like, oh, well, that's nothing. But let me tell you this, Mr. Ford is a prop. By season's end, Josh Ford had logged snaps in every single game, earned 6 starts, and notched a 26-yard reception in a homecoming win against Arizona State. The Arizona State that won the Big 12. You mean to tell me that Oklahoma State, who was horrible last year, and even their own people would tell you that it's the worst season that they had in, 2 decades? Yeah, they found a way to beat the Big 12 champ. Yeah, and it had a lot to do with the tight end who played both sides of the ball in high school, dropped 50 tackles and 13 and a half tackles for a loss on defense in his senior year of high school, and still find time to score 6 touchdowns through the air. I mean, he's a do-it-all type of guy. I hope that we get a chance to talk to him more. But the training wheels are now off of Mr. Josh Ford's. The training wheels are off, bro. He is coming and stepping to his own. He is absolutely somebody that you have to know and pay attention to in 2025, year of our Lord. Let's talk about Dustin domination and Iman Oates in the rise from Tulsa. Now, if you came in Big 12 Media Days, you would notice that Oklahoma State didn't get the red carpet treatment like you would see a Baylor or Colorado or a Utah, for example, Iowa States of the world. But here we are, a kid from Oklahoma A&M, Northeastern Oklahoma A&M, JUCO type roots, Tulsa, Edison. He also played, and he built himself up into an absolute dog, a rock for Oklahoma State's defensive interior, and there's a reason why they chose to bring him today for Big 12 Media Days. I mean, for me, it's more than obvious. His numbers are not going to break Twitter. He had 25 total tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. But when you see his film, it doesn't lie at all. Just watch the Colorado game. Watch TCU. It's all there. The leverage, the hand violence, the motor. He posted 2 tackles for a loss in back-to-back road games this season in Fort Worth. And then he had a pass breakup against BYU and a quarterback hurry. So in the biggest moments that you needed Iman Oates to be productive, he wasn't just productive for you. He was absolutely disruptive. And in a league where offensive innovation continues to stretch and get wider and more massive as we go, now we have a blueprint. Now we have a blueprint of a guy that's coming in who is an absolute problem in JUCO, which is going to be even more of a problem for Oklahoma State this year. Breaking news. What's up, Hoove? You can sit right here, my guy.
All right.
Breaking. You see this pretty face next to me?
Nah.
Better believe he can ball out. I'm gonna get you set, get you higher, so you ain't even gotta adjust nothing. There you go. I am here. 4 minutes. Let's cook. I'm here with quarterback TCU Horned Frogs, Josh Hoover. How was the flight coming in, or did y'all drove?
Yeah, we drove. It was an hour and a half drive, so not too far at all. We hit some traffic, it'd be closer. So
yeah,
it was pretty easy to get here.
Yeah, it's been a long day for Big 12 Media Days. You probably had a lot of people talk to you and everything. How's your experience been so far?
It's been good, man. I love being here. It's always cool to be around and see the other teams and just be here in this atmosphere. Kind of get you excited for the upcoming year.
Mm-hmm. You put up a lot of stats last year. I could say that you started to get more comfortable in the pocket as a quarterback. Like, how would you grade yourself last year? Not even letter grade, just from how you feel about your overall performance and your maturity as the year went on.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of really good moments, and there was a couple moments that weren't so good. Mm-hmm. And so I think, there was definitely a lot to build on, but I think there's some things that I can carry into this year and be a little bit more consistent with, and we're going to have a great year. So I think it just comes down to being consistent and doing the right thing all the time and being really consistent. I think that's going to help. Especially
at the little things. How's your relationship with Coach Dykes grown since when you first stepped into the building to where we are now in Big 12 Media Days?
Well, my freshman year, he probably didn't even know who I was. I was a nobody. I was a nobody recruit. So yeah. But yeah, it's definitely grown, and just I appreciate him for all he's done for me and give me an opportunity to play here. And he's been really helpful. So it's been a great experience, and he does a great job coaching us.
What a difference a year and a half makes. 3,949 yards owning the Frogs single season passing record and touchdown passes in a single season as well. I talked to your offensive lineman Colton earlier today. He has so much love and respect for you. What do you see in the drone shot for this team, especially the offense, and how it's going to be different than what we saw in 2024?
Yeah, I think our offensive line's in a better spot. I think we're going to do a great job running the football. We've got running backs that are going to do a great job running the rock, and so I think the more you can just integrate all parts of the offense and just continue to be successful in all the areas, the more success we're going to be. So more success we're going to have. So it's going to be fun, and expect a lot from our offensive line, and just the improvement they've made has been huge.
Yeah, we can see it. I know I talked to Eric McAllister today, wide receiver 1. We talked to also Bud. They talked about the disrespect that y'all felt playing in the New Mexico Bowl against the Raging Cajuns. How do you feel about it? You know, no disrespect to the Raging Cajuns, but y'all should not have been playing in the New Mexico Bowl, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it goes sometimes. You can't really control that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't really feel disrespected. I felt like we should have won more games. You know, It always goes back to accountability, and we're accountable for our record, and we didn't want to play in the Mexico Bowl. We should have won 10 games. So it goes back to that, and I think it's important for us to understand that, you know, that's a great bowl. They did a great job there, but that's not our goal. That's not our standard. So, you know, most respectful way possible. That's not our standard. We want to play in the big time stuff. So New Mexico Bowl did a great job. Don't get me wrong, but we're excited about playing in something bigger and getting into that playoff.
Absolutely, y'all not that far removed from being in the national championship game too. I wanted to know, last year we saw an increase in your accuracy. We saw an increase in your timing, just getting the ball out, fitting in tight windows. What's some of the things that you worked on in this offseason to get better and take that next leap in 2025?
Yeah, just decision making, and then taking off and using my legs, be a little bit better with that.
Because you got wheels.
Yeah, I mean, I can run a little bit, and so I think just being able to keep people honest and scrambling, and I've made some plays scrambling, but just taking off and running when I need to, and keeping defenses honest.
How have you embraced the leadership role now, from being the freshman to where you are and where you stand now on the team?
Yeah, it's been different. You know, every year it's kind of progressed, and there's been more and more that comes with it, and I love it. I love being that guy. I love having an opportunity to connect with my teammates and help guys when I can. So it's been really fun, and I've enjoyed the entire process.
Absolutely. Before we get you out of here and back to TCU Horned Frogs, we got to play a game what you call rapid fire questions. Are you ready, Josh?
Let's do it.
All-time favorite quarterback?
Matthew Stafford.
My dog. Top 3 artists on your playlist?
Tracy Lawrence, George Strait, Turnpike Troubadours.
You a OG, man. Okay. What's your pregame meal?
Depends what time of day, but let's just go afternoon, night game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go steak, lasagna, green beans.
Okay. If you had a breakfast cereal choice that you could only pick for the rest of your life.
Lucky Charms.
My man didn't even let me finish it. He already knew. Can you look into the camera and tell TCU fans how you feel about them, show them love, and just give them something to look forward to?
Man, TCU fans, thank you so much for all you've done for us. We love your support. I love TCU. I love being a Horned Frog, and can't say enough about what y'all mean to us. So we're excited about the opportunity to make y'all proud, and we're looking forward to it.
Shout out to the TCU Horned Frogs. Shout out to Josh Hoover, quarterback 1. We look forward to seeing you ball out in 2025, year of our Lord.
Sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And much blessings to you in the program. Can you say shout out to College Football Nation?
Shout out College Football Nation. We appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Appreciate you, Mr. Hoover.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll take care.
Thank you, Miss Brandy. It all worked out. I told you it's gonna be a jam-packed show today, man. You gotta stay tuned, stay watch. You never know. You never know who you might run into today. Jalen. Oh God. All right. Hoover is a dog, man. I'm trying to tell you. Almost 4,000 passing yards in 2024. Really, that next step for him is, like you said, you know, his decision making, not turning the ball over, using his legs to his advantage so that they can have more of a running threat in 2025. And then also the offensive line is taking massive steps up. After talking to Colton Deary, that interview should be dropping very soon for you. It's more than evitable or more than apparent that they have connection on their offensive line that's growing and taking massive leaps up. He has a wide receiver room that is filthy, including Eric McAllister, who showed up and showed out plenty of times last year. And if you ask Eric McAllister, he has the Heisman Trophy on his mind in 2025. Hey, that's what he told me himself. But in 2024, Josh Hoover wasn't just efficient. He was explosive. 66.5% of his passes completed. That is third all time in TCU history. That is crazy. He added 3 rushing touchdowns. We want to use his legs even more. But on the crazy and scary part is Josh Hoover averaged 300 passing yards per game in 2024. That's crazy. Even more impressive, he started this season with 143 consecutive passes without an interception. So I know he's been hard on himself technically because he wants to be better with his decision making. But man, when he's on, there's nobody in the Big 12 that wants to play TCU and Josh Hoover because they know that kid is a dog. It's not just volume though, bro. It's stringing together just boss-like performances. 402 yards, 4 touchdown outbursts against UCF. 356 yards, 3 touchdown effort in a statement win against Kansas and the Jayhawks. Don't let me say that too loud because Kansas over there, they might start getting uncomfortable. We start talking about that. Eric McAllister helped go crazy, add to it. But there's so much to love about this TCU team. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to Devin Deal. Shout out to all the TCU players that we got to talk to, especially Bud Clark, the closer. We got a chance to talk to with the governor of college football himself. This is the world of CFB. And I'm your boy Moon, credential media member of CFB Nation, the wavest to ever do it. And here live at Frisco Ford Center for the Big 12 Media Days. We are in the middle of a live show, so you can expect some interruptions. Apparently, we're trying to get another big-time quarterback in the Big 12 to come up here very soon. But until then, we started off the show talking about Oklahoma State and giving them some love. I got a chance to talk to their SID today, and he told me straight up this was probably one of the most interesting years that they've had in a minute. And it's deeper than just Mike Gundy's mullet. It's so much deeper than that. It's everything. The losses, the games that they should have won, the games that they won that they had no business beating. How do you beat Arizona State, the Big 10, Big 12 champion, and then find a way to have your season be abysmal? It reminds me of the Arizonas of the world. So we're getting a lot of information being here at Big 12 Media Days, from what we looked at with Greg McElroy coming on earlier to how he felt, Matt Berry, what he said yesterday, just about the current state of the conference. Hoover, even what he said, the decision making needs to get better. Big 12 is going to be super competitive this year in 2025, and I'm all here for it. This is the world of CFB. Welcome back to the show. I'm your boy Moon. We just talked to TCU quarterback Josh Hoover, who is preparing for a jam-packed season in the 2025 year of our Lord, and a kid that is absolutely a stud when it comes to his game on the field, who is slinging more than just touchdowns. He's really giving TCU fans some hope. If you are a TCU Horned Frog fan, you should know. You're not like some of these other programs in the Big 12 that don't know who their guy is. Colorado brought 2 quarterbacks to Big 12 Media Days. They don't know who their guy is. UCF's trying to find a guy. Kansas State knows who their guy is. Oklahoma State wish that they know who their guy is. But TCU doesn't have that problem. That is one of the benefits and the luxuries of being in a program with that much grit, that much reload. 16 teams. No easy outs, just chaos, cash, consequences, Cash. Did I say cash? Cash. Here's a real story of the 2025 Big 12. Texas Tech. Let's start in Lubbock. The winds don't just whip through West Texas with calmness now. They do so with a force because Texas Tech has been roaring in this offseason. Everybody talks about the money because it's obvious. I saw a tweet earlier today that said, I can't even be mad at Lee Hunter because Texas Tech gave this man an ungodly amount of money. And this is true. This is true. But Joey McGuire, he had to make some changes, man. He handed the offense to Mac Leftwich, a mad scientist with a trigger finger. They got a 5-star returning back to the comforts of his first choice originally, Micah Hudson. After a quick Texas A&M detour, he said, you know what? I'm going to still come back. I'm going to come back to where it's home. I don't feel like that's luck, bro. That's leverage. That's leverage. Texas Tech is beyond a reload. They rearmed, and they got guns a-blazing. Lee Hunter is going to be an avalanche and shoulder pads. David Bailey might be the best edge in the league. You add in Romello Height, who was a standout at Georgia Tech, who transferred into Texas Tech. Maybe he just has a love for Tech. But at the core of it all, they have all the right pieces in place to make a run. If he wanted to buy a team to glory, look no further than Texas Tech because they're not aiming for bowl games. They're aiming for blood. Let's take a trip to Tempe, Arizona. If Texas Tech is the team that's shouting, Arizona State is a team that's just sitting back confidently with that smirk on their face. Like, you know what it is. You know what it was when you signed up. They're not going to chase headlines because at the end of the day, they don't care about all that type of stuff. They don't care about headlines. They just care about being an underdog, being in an underdog mentality in a role. And Coach Kenny Dillingham kept the band all together. They kept the band all together. Sam Levitt stayed put, coming back, which is a great sign. We got Jordan Tyson staying put. Amazing sign. They could have easily left. I know they had teams in their DMs trying to get them to leave. But at the core of it, they have continuity. And in the era of chaos, more chaos, and just craziness in the wackiest conference that exists, yeah, this is a flex. In this program, it didn't need a transfer portal makeover like Texas Tech did. Arizona State decided that they needed precision. So enter Jaron Hamilton. Enter Kanye Udo. Enter Noble Johnson. Enter clean fits for an offense that already knows who it is. That's exactly what we're talking about. And that's what the reason why they scared every single person involved. Everybody knows Arizona State has firepower. They're loaded. They're not going to be just loaded in college football 26. They're going to be loaded in real life too. And it starts with Kenny Dillingham keeping the band back together. Up next is Baylor. Let's take a trip to Waco. 1 minute you're 2-4. The next minute they're punching people in the mouth for 6 straight weeks. And now we look up and they have a 6-game win streak. Sawyer Robinson, he erupted onto the scene in 2024. And he wasn't even supposed to be the guy. DeQuan Finn was projected to be the guy. But then the injuries happened. And then the Lord blesses Baylor with a quarterback that looks like a dude. Averaged 40-plus points a game down the stretch for Baylor University. Dave Aranda took controls back of the playbook and said, here, I'll do it all by myself. I don't need anybody's help. Let me be the one to call the defense for you. And he made monumental changes. Now they got Travion Barnes, a 129 tackle monster from the Conference USA. He's going to be joining the party. And Marion Winston is coming off the edge. He's going to be a problem. Then you got Kobe Prentice from Alabama's pipeline. Another problem. So I'm starting to look at Baylor. I didn't even mention Josh Cameron, Trigg, and the rest of this loaded team and roster, including Bryson Washington and their other running back. They have a lot of bright spots at Baylor. And I think more than anything, Baylor is probably one of the most physical teams in the Big 12. And I look forward to them proving that in 2025, year of our Lord. Let's switch it up. Let's talk about TCU, who we just mentioned. 2025 for TCU is really all about Josh Hoover's homecoming tour. Not because he's going to be playing, 6+ home games or trying to return to the college football playoff or national championship, because we're not that far removed from them playing Georgia at the highest of the heights. But Josh Hoover threw for nearly 4,000 passing yards. He was right there at the top of the list. And yet, people are still doubting him. And yet, TCU is still undercovered. And that is absolutely fine, because TCU loves the shadows. TCU loves the shadows. They love being the underdog. They love being in a position when nobody's talking to them. But now when you enter in Quivorian Barnes, who's coming in from the UTSA Roadrunners, got some magic. You enter in Joseph Manjack, Jordan Dwyer. We start to get some magic. We start talking about your wide receiver number one, Eric McAllister. We got some magic. You know, a quarterback with that type of smile, you got some magic. 2025 might be a wake-up call for the rest of the country, but you have plenty enough time, about 2 months, before you have to worry about that alarm going off, because y'all been snoozing for far too long for TCU. It's time to wake up. Let's talk about the next team, Iowa State. Iowa State is built in the quiet, but they are emerging in the light. When the Big 12 media days started yesterday, Iowa State came into the building with a sense of swagger, bravado about them, that they know that they belong at the mountaintop. They know that they deserve all the praise, but they are not that far removed from having to deal with some tough losses in the stretch that they should not have lost. Coming off of an 11-win season, Matt Campbell and the Iowa State Cyclones are losing Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, two wide receivers that put up crazy numbers for the Cyclones. But Matt Campbell did not panic. He did not flinch 1 second. That man said, "Oh, y'all want to leave? Cool. Anybody else want to leave? All right. Everybody that stayed, cool. We're going to get Xavier Townsend in the portal. We're going to get Chase Sewell. We're gonna bring these guys in who are built like they are chiseled out of Iowa State granite." Rocco Beck is no longer a breakout candidate for you whatsoever. He is a guy that is going crazy. Lead actor in this script. In this movie, Rocco is the guy. They doubled down to surround him with talent. They doubled down to surround him so that he can be violent, he can be deadly, he can be accurate. And even though he is overlooked by many, Rocco Beck and the Iowa State Cyclones are, for sure, under the leadership of Matt Campbell, a team that you have to pay attention to in the Big 12 Conference. Up next, Kansas State. Jerron Brantley, Jerron Tibbs, Lincoln Cure. They got probably one of the most intriguing wide receiver rooms in the entire country. Really, when you just think about it, they have a newly built offensive line. But this offense, make no mistake, they can hum. They really, when they get it rolling, Avery Johnson, the Prince of Purple, Kansas State royalty, Sunshine, as I like to call him, he's a dog, man. But the margins for Kansas State are going to be slim. Still royal, but royally slim margins for Kansas State. And it's not just because they wear purple. Now, let's just be real. Chris Kleiman, he had to rearrange this roster and his staff like chess pieces. He had to make it all work. And we talked about the continuity that Arizona State has. Well, you know, they had to do it in a slightly different way at Kansas State. And they got continuity where it matters and upgrades where they needed it the most. They will be a team that everybody is watching and paying attention to, and it starts off early in Dublin, Ireland at Aviva Stadium, where Iowa State takes on Kansas State in a rivalry matchup that we will be talking about. Up next, Cincinnati. Nah, not yet. Probably the team that surprised me the most out of any other team is Cincinnati. Cincinnati has a lot of pieces working in their favor, including a tight end that had 50 receptions, who was already a legend in Cincinnati Bearcats lore because he tied Travis Kelce's record. He actually broke it. Broke Travis Kelce's record that was held since 2012 for receptions in 2024. That's Joe Royer. Their defensive tackle, who I interviewed yesterday, Mr. Dante Corleone, has been through it all. He said one of the major things that he loved about Cincinnati was just how the people poured into him when he was going through his struggles. He's entering the season as a two-time All-American in 2022 and 2024 with over 100-plus tackles, 17 tackles for a loss, and close to 10 sacks in his career. He's the highest graded defensive lineman by PFF on his roster. He's a dog. And then Gavin Gerhardt, 36 career starts under his belt. He is in a situation where he's a two-time team captain. And more than importantly, he's one of the most experienced Bearcats that's going to bring a model of consistency for you. Look no further than a guy that's an absolute dog. It's an absolute dog for you. And I ended off with Brendan Sorsby. Governor of College Football talked to Brendan Sorsby yesterday. 46 career touchdowns. 33 of those are passing, by the way. So he knows how to use his legs. In 2024, he had 9 rushing touchdowns. Well, he had 9 rushing touchdowns. 13 career rushing touchdowns under his belt. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, he had almost 500 yards rushing. He might be in the category of Jalen Daniels, Caden Salter, who I'm looking at right now. He's in that category for people that we should be looking at more seriously for true dual threat quarterbacks in the Big 12 conference. The wackiest conference that exists has a coach that is used to averaging 200 plus rushing yards per game. In fact, in his 13 seasons as a head coach, Scott Satterfield has produced 11 seasons where they average 200 plus yards rushing. That is incredible. He's in his 3rd year with the Cincinnati Bearcats, and now we're hoping that he can channel his inner Matt Rule and take Cincinnati in year 3 like Matt Rule has a tendency to take his teams and his programs in year 3 and just raise them up. Other notes about Cincinnati that you need to know: Evan Pryor averaged 7.5 yards per carry. They got Tyree Walker, who's coming in, transfer from Wisconsin, who had 10 touchdowns in 2024 rushing. An absolute dog, a problem. And the last 2 seasons at Wisconsin and Oklahoma treated Tyree Walker really good. And now he's coming in with experience. Now he's coming in with bravado. And now he's playing for a former ACC Coach of the Year in 2019, Mr. Scott Satterfield. Quietly, Cincinnati's defense cooked last year. They led the Big 12 in forced fumbles with 14 of them in 2024. And they're going to look to increase that because this is year 2 of Tyson Vite's 3-3-5 defense. So they're going to add more controversy, more chaos in the wackiest conference that exists. Up next, BYU. BYU is probably the most blue-collared approach team. They are the most blue-collared approach team. They lost 12 starters. They could have folded, but they didn't fold. Instead, they reinforced a new foundation of NFL-ready trench monsters. They lost Jake Retzlaff, who is quietly trying to figure out a new squad and a ball program that he can play for in 2025. That's still left to be determined. But Stanford's Tiger Bachhammer was a late gem for them. The defensive line got nastier. They probably have one of the deepest defensive lines in the entire nation. They're not going to overwhelm you with star power because most of the time you probably can't even pronounce their name. But the harsh reality is that there is no team that wants to go into Provo, Utah to actually compete. Ask Kansas State. Kansas State got smacked up and down in Provo, Utah last year, and it led with Coach Kalani. Coach Kalani has a mentality of war. He has a mentality of discipline. He has a mentality of really a quiet confidence that this team carries, and they entered into Big 12 Media Days yesterday with that same type of belief. And most importantly, they have a type of swing, especially when they're hitting on all cylinders, that can really lay you out flat on the canvas if you pick the wrong day to play BYU. 9 consecutive wins last year before it all started to fall apart. for them, they had their eyes on the Big 12 championship, bro. And they have more than enough to be included in the title hunt for 2025 Year of Our Lord. Let's talk about Oklahoma State. We mentioned them a little bit so I don't have to break them down too much. The names that you should really know coming out of media days is your guy Josh Ford. Josh Ford was an absolute dog last year. Yup. Sophomore, freshman, monster, 6'6", all of him. Mike Gundy still has the mullet, but he also had to nuke it. It's not as long as the mullet used to be, but he had to nuke everybody. He took a pay cut, fired everybody. Then he went shopping. He said, what can money buy that doesn't grow on trees? And he brought in 38 transfer prospects that come in looking to bring new life into this Oklahoma State team that is just waiting and itching. Todd Grantham is there. New addition. Doug Meacham is there. You got two quarterbacks with high ceilings in Zane Flores and Hodge Hashney. I personally think Hodge Hashney should be the starter. Former TCU quarterback. I'm rooting on him to get the job done. But last year, unforgivable what happened with Oklahoma State. This year, I think the key word is unpredictable. We don't know what we're going to get from Oklahoma State, but I know it is not going to be the 2024 variation. West Virginia, Morgantown. Being able to talk to the West Virginia mascot today was insane. If you saw that earlier on the live, appreciate you watching and tuning in to the story, but West Virginia has a certain type of pride more than any other program in the entire Big 12, that the whole state is behind them, that is pouring into this team. And you can't coach magic. You can't teach a team that understands culture of what their team is. He brought in Pat White to the staff. So Coach Rich Rod is bringing in legacy and taking the past and blending it right now to the present in order to change the future of this program. Nico Marichal, he stayed. Jaheim White, he stayed. And to be honest with you, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if we just look at where we are and talking to Jaden Bray earlier today, Jaden Bray said it perfectly. Wide receiver for West Virginia. He said that their mind is on the Big 12 championship. Now you might be like, what did you just say, Mo? Yeah, their mind is on the Big 12 championship. That's a harsh reality that we as the media, we as the audience have to face. Because he said, and I quote, you think that we just go through all these spring practices, go through all this time training just to go out here and disappoint? Like, no. They really do believe that they can be at the mountaintop more than anything. And now it's about stitching a new identity together that is an ode to the past. But if you saw how everything unraveled at the end of Rich Rod's last tenure, you would say that it's an absolute miracle that this is happening right now. Let's talk about Kansas and the Jayhawks. Kansas Jayhawks probably have one of the most decorated and polished quarterbacks to return. That alone makes them a difference maker in the Big 12. And somebody out there is gonna bet on Kansas to just fold this season, and they're gonna be highly disappointed. The coaching staff is reshuffled. There's a lot going on, but it's still familiar for you. It's still familiar. The roster rebuilt in a lot of different ways, which you're going to see, but they have to replace a lot of pieces, but not their quarterback. They don't have to replace their quarterback at all. Jalen Daniels is coming back. They got a new stadium that's renovated that they're ready to party in this year. It took them a long process to get through. But, I mean, deeper than anything, Kansas walked in here with a confidence that could be easily seen. Their jerseys up close, spectacular. That all blue can make a college football fan want to cry. Tears of joy. Just because, how do you have that great of a jersey selection? A quarterback with a wideout room that's growing and expanding more and more. Defensively, they got some pieces on this team. A linebacker core that's already solid. Watch out for Kansas, bro. The climb, if you're a Jayhawks fan, is not going to be pretty whatsoever. It might be kind of steep, but Kansas is not starting from scratch. They are starting from the element of belief, and belief at the core of it is centered around one guy, not just Lance Leipold. It is Jalen Daniels, quarterback for Kansas Jayhawks. Let's talk about even more.
Sir. That's what I'm trying to do.
Tucson, Arizona, and Arizona Wildcats. How do you go from 10 wins to 4? How you go from 10 wins to 4? That don't make no sense. Coach Brent Brennan has a tall task under his sleeves this year, and he inherited a program that was kind of burnt down to ash after Coach Fish left. Noah Fafita, who had an amazing season in 2023, it didn't go that well in 2024. Let's just keep it a spade. But now you got Seth Doge calling plays. That might be the best thing that happened to this team in a long time, and it's a quietly underrated thing that Tetsuroa McMillan is no longer there. Moon, what are you saying? You lost your best receiver. How can you possibly get better? Well, he doesn't have to keep his eyes locked on that guy the entire time. He can now spread the wealth. He can spread the sugar. There's more, mouths to feed, and Coach Brett Brennan is going to make sure that he does that. It's just going to take a little bit of time for Arizona to get everything together. They had some brutal losses last year. Brutal. They should not lose to Houston. Like, you have some brutal losses, but they're rebuilding with the scars of 2024 and a chip the size of Tucson, Arizona on their shoulders as they enter and exit Big 12 Media Days. Let's talk about Scotty Tuati, Scott Frost.
I'm trying to tell you when it happened, because
UCF, every single UCF player that we talked about and talked to, talked about they want to be competing at the mountaintop, Big 12 championship titles, big game moments. Gus Malzahn is gone. Scott Frost is here. Back in the kingdom. It's year one of the cold restart. It's year one. They brought in 34 transfers, 5 quarterbacks to sort through and shuffle around and figure out who the right guy is. But at the core of it, the kingdom isn't bare. They still got some talent. They got a running back, Miles Montgomery, that's coming in to do work this year. UCF, they're not here for comfort. They're here to push themselves to the absolute brink to try to see what can happen in Space City, newly named the Bounce House, in 2025. Houston. With it being year 2 under Willie Fritz, the Houston Cougars all echo the sentiments of Willie Fritz is an absolute dog. He is a coach that's a player's coach. He's going to demand a certain type of physicality, a certain type of energy from them. And now they have a quarterback in Connor Weigman that's going to come in and add a spark to this offense that desperately needed it in 2025. They desperately needed it. 2024 was rough for this offense. They still had playmakers. They still had one of the coldest wide receivers in the Big 12, Mr. Johnson. I'm looking at him walking by right now. Absolute dog. Connor Weigman has some weapons to choose from and show from. And then, more than importantly, Slade Nagel now calls the shots on offense. This is going to be key in trying to unlock Connor Weigman's ceiling for 2025. And they kind of have one of the most volatile quarterback to wide receiver rooms in the whole entire conference. And on defense, it might be plug and pray. But after talking to Latrell McCutcheons today, I feel like they got enough depth in this back end. They have enough juice in the linebacker room, and they're making enough changes all across the board to make Houston a contender and not a pretender like they were. Last but not least, did I touch everybody? I feel like I touched everybody.
It was pretty magical for you.
That's the story of the Big 12. 16 teams. 16 teams all ready to punch each other in the mouth. Cash, consequences, chaos. That's the real story of the Big 12, and that's the real story of what you need to know from Big 12 Media Days. Now, we'll get more into my breakdown and everything that I learned, my takeaways from Big 12 Media Days tomorrow when I get back home on a collab episode with the governor in college football. And we'll talk about all these teams in depth, what I saw, what I liked, what I didn't like. There's some teams that y'all not gonna like what I gotta say about them. Let's be real, and it has nothing even to really do with the players, more so than the personnel, attached to them. But for where we are in the current state of the conference, it's the healthiest that we've seen it. You know, from all the mascots being out here showing love, from all the players, even the ones just behind me talking right now, showing love, to people spending money galore like Texas Tech, to the whole building showing up and showing out for Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, who made the Ford Center silent, literally silent, just in anticipation, waiting for him to speak and utter words that come out of his lips. And he owned the moment 150%. Everybody came out to watch Coach Prime. That's the only coach that got everybody in the Ford Center to collectively move as a unit to go watch him speak. We'll talk about that later. But it's a lot to love in the Big 12. A lot to love. And for me, Moan, this is my deep dive inside the wackiest, craziest, most thrilling, gut-wrenching, down to the wire, full throttle, pedal to the metal conference that exists, known as the Big 12. For this special episode where we interviewed Josh Hoover, we talked more in depth about the conference. We try to give everybody their flowers and their love. We got some more interviews dropping very, very soon. We did not forget about you. There's going to be some uploads. We talked to a lot of different teams from Utah to TCU, you name it. We got a chance to talk to them. But for this episode of World of College Football, we send you out to y'all day. Hopefully you enjoyed the coverage of Big 12 Media Days. We'll be live, I guess, with the wrap-up episode very soon. Make sure you hit that follow button on CFB Nation. Just stay tuned and keep it locked for everything that we got going on the platform and on Umbrella. Make sure if you want to see more of our content, go to thecfbnation.com for all the latest in the Big 12 Conference that we love so much. And special thank you to Mr. Matt Inster, head guy for Big 12 Media Relations, who we got a chance to talk to, who applauded us for our coverage over the last 2 days. I really appreciate him. Special shout out to all the SIDs for all the various schools that showed us love, to all the players that we got a chance to interview, for all the people that we got a chance to meet, and all the memories that we got to get a chance to make. This is the world of CFB. Let's